Winning Dana's respect at any fighting event is super rare, but Aussie Shannon Ross has received something not even champions have experienced: a standing ovation from the boss. And honestly speaking, he deserved it. Ross got knocked out twice in the first round, but still managed to get back up and keep going. Stay tuned as we tell you everything about how the Aussie earned a rare Dana act in the fight of his life. First up, loses fight, wins praise. We're not gonna lie, Vinicius Salvador schooled Shannon. He literally danced around him all night and landed some incredible blows. Salvador managed to connect a mean right hook right to the Aussie's face, sending him wobbling to the mat. But if you saw the fight live, you probably noticed how Ross just kept refusing to go down. Even after such a nasty right hook, it took Salvador a couple of strikes to finally finish him. In fact, the Brazilian managed to muscle his way through Shannon and knocked him out twice in just the first round. But the Aussie got back up again like nothing even happened. He's actually a mechanic when he's not fighting, so we're guessing he's been doing some tweaks to that chin of his inside the workshop. Anyway, Ross was still the favorite going into the fight, and that was mainly because he had more experience than Salvador. But even then, you could be the most experienced fighter in the world, and eating a kick straight to the liver would have you begging for forgiveness. And the fact that Ross still managed to get up after that blow is mind-blowing. Heck, even the commentators went speechless. Salvador continued the mauling throughout the first round. He landed a right hook as soon as Ross got up, but what do you know? He still wrestled his way through and kept things going. It took the Brazilian 3 attempts to finally end the fight, and that's probably what got Dana's respect. So let's recap this for you. A nasty kick to the liver, a brutal right hook to the chin, and then finally a hook followed by an exceptional combination of punches. That's what it took to put the mechanic down. This guy deserves more than just a standing ovation, to be honest. He just proved that he has what it takes to play the big league. And even though he's only fighting in the Contender Series, we reckon we'll be seeing him real soon inside the UFC. Next, a rare sight. When the ref finally stopped the fight and put both gentlemen back in their corners, Dana entered the cage and congratulated both of them. So not only did they get a standing ovation, but Dana went up to them and thanked them for putting on such a brilliant display of grit, ruthlessness, and skill. Also, if there's anyone else who deserves a standing ovation, it has to be the commentators. They were going nuts throughout the fight. Each time Ross got knocked down, they'd go crazy thinking this is finally it. The Aussie is done. And then he'd get right back up again. Even when Dana entered the octagon, Dan Hellie was heard saying things like how this is a very uncommon thing in the UFC. We've rarely seen the boss enter the cage. He doesn't even enter the cage when there's a championship bout or something. He just walks up to their corner and congratulates them from outside the octagon. But the fact that he felt the need to enter the battleground speaks volumes about the fight. It was gold standard fighting, the stuff of legends. And even though Shannon couldn't seal the deal with a W, he won a lot of things that night. And now, for a $20K gamble. Ross has put a lot on the line to be where he is. He might be fighting in the Contender Series, but if you ask us, this fight against the Brazilian has definitely put him in the running for a potential UFC flyweight contract. And speaking of his sacrifices, did you know that the Aussie took a $20,000 gamble to kickstart his MMA career? This happened about 2 years ago when Shannon took a huge fight in Abu Dhabi amidst the coronavirus pandemic. The 33-year-old won the fight in a spectacular fashion, giving him that well-needed push toward a career at the UFC. But those were only the start of his troubles. Shannon and his wife just had their 4th kid, and on top of that, they were renovating their house. The fight was supposed to cost Ross anywhere from $6 to $7 grand, but it actually ended up costing him $20,000. Since it was the pandemic, prices to and from Australia had skyrocketed. The price of traveling alone came out to nearly $15,000, with the hotel quarantine coming at $4 grand. But we're guessing it was all worth it. It's not every day you get a standing ovation from the boss. So what's next for the flyweight? Well, things do tend to run a bit slower at the Contender Series, but he's finally in the spotlight now. Dana knows the guy's hungry and refuses to go down, so keep your eyes peeled. We'll be seeing a bit more of him now, and who knows, Dana might even consider giving him a UFC contract. Time for some more on the UFC. Up next, journey to Hollywood. Ronda Rousey is probably the first name which comes to mind when we talk about Hollywood. About 7 years back, she was one of the biggest names in combat sport, and that stardom extended way beyond just fighting. She played roles in some huge movies like Furious 7, One, Entourage, and even The Expendables 3. And if there's anyone else who can make it in Hollywood, it just has to be Conor McGregor. So we weren't really surprised when we first heard he'd be starring in the remake of Roadhouse, working alongside the talented and charming Jake Gyllenhaal. McGregor's spokeswoman Karen Kessler confirmed the news, saying Conor is super excited to be starring in his first movie and can't wait to start filming. But you're probably wondering, what about fighting? Well, Karen claims that Conor's first priority still remains fighting. We're not sure though. It feels like everything he's doing at this point is just taking him away from fighting. Smoking joints on a yacht, starring in films, owning multiple businesses. It's like he's finally moved on. But frankly speaking, we think it'll be alright if he decides to retire now. He's done wonders for the game, so maybe it's time he focuses on making his appearance on the big screen. And now, for things Dana hates hearing. Talking to Robbie Fox on the My Mom's Basement show, Dana White laid down two things he hates hearing from his fighters. And no, one of them is not, "You don't pay us enough." The first one? Well, Dana hates it when fighters manage their career timelines in ways they think is best. We're not really sure what Dana means, but what he's probably trying to say is sell your soul to the UFC and let them decide everything about your career. He also said something like how he hates when guys say, "I just want to wait around." He has a point here. Like, wait around for what? Retirement? You gotta throw yourself out there to make a name in the fight world. The second one is even weirder than the first. Dana also hates it when fighters don't want to fight their friends. In fact, the boss said he likes a company man who will fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. Oh, and the interesting bit? Dana loves it when a fighter says, "I'll fight him for free." Sure, Dana, what you just described is a puppet, not a fighter. Like, who would fight for free? Is this guy living in another world or something? Finally, thanks, Paddy. Following his sensational win over Jordan Levitt at UFC London, Paddy said some pretty heartfelt things that are doing wonders for men suffering from mental health issues. He talked about how he recently found out a very close friend of his had committed suicide because he was going through some mental health issues. The baddie also tried to clear out the stigma that there's nothing wrong with talking about what goes on in your head just because you're a guy. Honestly, that's just pure class from Paddy, a solid fighter and an even better human being. Anyway, since the Brit gave his suicide speech, there's actually been a spike in the number of men wanting to seek mental health. Andy's Man Club, a well-known mental health group, confirmed the news that ever since Paddy spoke out about it, more men have been coming to sessions and sharing their problems. And you know what really gave us goosebumps? Some people even messaged Paddy saying they didn't take their life after hearing what he said that night. See, this is exactly why we love the UFC. It's more than just fighting inside a cage. It stands for everything good. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Does Shannon have what it takes to fight in the UFC? And what did you make of his solid defense in the Contender Series fight? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.